to keep this into a good pace. Okay. After that, the session. Okay, I know that there's some francophones on. It isn't only an English session or a Scottish session. It's either way you want to see it. Okay, it's an English and Scottish session. And thank you for understanding if that we don't have it in French. Okay. During our session, there might be a technological breakdowns. Like sometimes, okay, there's roadblocks, there's pitfalls with technology, and sometimes you end up in the ditch. Okay, and you know, that's technology. Have some patience. Michael, did you hear that? End in the ditch. Okay, good. All right, then hopefully. All right, and Bianca's already talked about this. Hopefully, like again, any type that we talk about, okay, you know where your washroom is. If you have to leave, go use the washroom, and know where your emergency exits are. If something's going on in your house, just, you know, get out of there, take care of it, make sure everything's safe, okay? So the last thing is the goal of the session. For me, okay, setting this up and thinking about this, I really want you guys to think like you're a judo player, okay? All of you guys are black belts. All of you did not become a black belt by only learning seonegi. You learned a lot of different techniques. And when you learned a lot of these different techniques, you, okay, decided these are the techniques I gravitate to. And these other techniques, even though I tried them, maybe I didn't like them. But you didn't come in with a preconceived idea that I don't like that, I'm not going to try it. Your sensei asked you to try it and then see if you liked it and to see if it would work for you. And that's what I'm asking you to keep your mind open. Think about some of the things that are being presented and don't say no right away. Write it down and see if it would actually work for your program. Because that's what we're trying to do, is keeping our minds open to different ideas. And some of you guys are doing fantastic stuff out there. The Numa Dojo in Nova Scotia, the police dojo in BC, some of the stuff you guys are doing are fantastic. Okay, but you know what? Let's keep our minds open. The last thing before I turn it over to Peter is that, you know what, I've known Peter for about 10 years, 11 years now. Scott Tanner brought him over for a clinic in Canada in Nova Scotia. And, you know, he had done the 101 judo games and the IGF kids judo. And every time I meet Peter or every time I'm involved with Peter, either him being over in Canada or me being over in Scotland, I come out with something that's going to make me a better judo coach and a better judoka. So I hope that you guys really enjoy this session, and that's all I have to say. And Peter, it's all up to you. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for your time. I'm looking at the list there, a lot of people that I know I've worked with before, friends, so it's nice to see you. It'd just be better if we were on the mat together or in different circumstances. This is going to be, you know, a lot of talking involved with me today, and when we get these opportunities to ask questions, I want you to really jump in and ask those questions and just slowly work our way through it, because I think that some of the things we're going to talk about today literally could save your judo club. So nobody knows what's going to happen when we're through COVID. You know, it's the impact it's going to have on judo in the long term that nobody can actually say. But I can tell you that in the UK already, some of the clubs that are long established judo clubs have gone. They've closed their doors permanently and they're simply not going to open again. And I'm sure that is going to happen, sadly, all over the world. So can I ask Nate to bring up the bullet points, please, the first slide. So we're going to, can you bring that up, Nate? The first slide. I knew we could have some technical hitches, but once we get it going, there we go, fine. Great. Okay. So the first thing we have to do is just to survive this, literally survive and get through. And then once we do get through the other side, and then it's a matter of thriving. Not only, you know, first of all, getting back to where we were, but improving on that. So that's our first port of call, simply to get through this. And you know, being a Scotsman, I'm extremely suspicious of anybody and everything, but especially when somebody says they're an expert, that worries me. So I don't think that anybody is an expert in COVID because it's completely uncharted waters. But I think some of the things we're going to talk talk about today, we're going to hopefully be useful to you. So I do think it's worth the time. There are a lot of very experienced coaches here, and I'm certainly not going to tell you how to suck eggs. You know your stuff inside out and back to front. But again, possibly there might be some solutions here that could help you. I think it's quite relevant for me to talk for a minute about my background, and you'll see how this kind of fits in. So I've been doing judo professionally since the first day I left school when I was 16. And George Kerr, who had the Edinburgh Club, offered me a full-time job coaching judo. And it's the only job I've ever done. I've done it in different forms. I've worked for 4 different governing bodies as director of coaching, director of development, and I've been national coach in 2 countries. But all of that experience and all that time on the mat could never have prepared me for COVID. It's a unique situation. We then, in 2002, we started Sportif Judo, which is basically a professional judo club. Based on really solid judo principles. It is a business, but we are completely committed to teaching judo and developing people through judo and everything that should be correct about judo. Sportif is made up of a collection of clubs. The smallest club we have has 20 people in it, and the biggest club we have has 160 people practicing on a Friday evening. So everything between 20 and 160, just exactly like your clubs, just coaches on a mat, nothing different at all there. And I think that's important. The way that we've built Sportif is built into 3 teams. And this is the nub of what we're going to talk about today. This is really important what's coming out now. There are 3 teams. The red team, which is based in the north of England, and the head coach there, a guy called Glyn Fidgen, is an excellent coach. Very, very good. And the second team is the blue team. And the head coach there is a guy called John Buchanan, who's a world medalist, an Olympian. And I'm sure lots of people know John from Canada. Very charismatic, fantastic guy. And the last team, which is my team, is called the Maroons. And each of these 3 teams have approached this in very, very different ways. And it's the approach that the Maroons have taken that we're trying to get across to you now that I feel is very important for you. When COVID hit, the first thing that happened was the Reds, they just shut up shop. They just sent the parents an email and said, judo is closed till further notice. That was their response. John, he did a little bit, but when I pushed him to do more, he laughed at me, and his exact words were, why don't you just take a chill pill, enjoy the summer break, and then we'll be back at the end of the summer. That was how John thought this was going to go. And the Maroons, always taking worst case scenario in life, we went for the nuclear strike option. We thought, did we panic? Yeah, we did panic at the start, but we thought this was serious. We sat down on day 1 and we put together an appropriate program, scheduling program to start. But on day 1, we had an email out to all our parents, all our members, to tell them the situation they were in and the solutions that we had. Because right from day 1, we wanted the Maroons, the Sportif Maroons, to be the go-to place for our members. So that's the starting point for everything we're going to talk about today. So it wasn't finished by the summer or the autumn or Christmas, and we are still in this now a year later. So what has happened a year later? Well, the Reds, who were over 300 members, to all intents and purposes, that does not exist anymore. Those clubs are gone. John, the Blues, they have, he's putting more work now because the realization has hit him like a sledgehammer. They have lost about 55 to 60% of their membership. That's a big hit John's taken. And importantly, because we're a business and we need to pay our bills through judo, the financial continuation and loyalty from John's members in the Blues has been very small. The Maroons, we have lost about 20% of our members. And some of that loss is because of clubs that we can't reopen. And the loyalty and financial support we've had from members has been incredible. Absolutely amazing, complete loyalty all the way through. So do nothing, do a little bit, or do as much as you possibly can. So that's where we're going to start today. And the first and most important thing is that you take control of the situation and that you get ahead of COVID. Don't wait for the next government announcement. Get ahead of things and focus on the things that you can do, because it's so easy to say, we can't do this, we can't do that, but there is lots of things that you can do. And I'm going to share some of those things with you in a moment. In each slide, I'm going to stop for 5 minutes and just ask if anybody has any questions at this point. And I'm going to hand over to Ewan to control that. Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, like we said, you can put you in the hands up, or if you just want to move on, we can move on. What we don't want is 5 people asking, or unmuting and asking any questions. Right now, I don't see anybody with a hands up. Do you know how to put the hands up button? I know that Nate put that in the chat box, and you go to the reactions, the little happy face, and it has a little raised hand, okay? Remember, I know nothing about technology, and I found the raised hand, okay? So if you have a question, that's how we're going to do it. We'll ask you to unmute, and then you can ask your question. So at this point, I don't see I see a thumbs up by Jeremy, which is very good. But is that, Jeremy, a raised hand or just a thumbs up? Okay. So I think we can move on there, Peter, since we don't have.
Perfect. Nate, can
we one second. Paul Hatchie did put something in the chat. He said, all clubs in red, blue, and maroon, are they all for-profit judo clubs?
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we move on now?
Perfect.
Good. Can we go on to the next slide there, Nate, please? Thank you. Okay, so as I said, when COVID first hit, our first reaction was to panic a little bit. Let's be honest, a lot at stake. And then we sat down logically, thought things through, and identified the things that we thought were going to be the priorities for moving forward and surviving, if you like. So the first short-term thing was retention, the retention of existing members, to engage those people and keep them on board. At the start, when we had lockdown, it was a little bit different because you know the rules. But since lockdown is kind of eased, I'm not sure about Canada, but we're in lockdown. We have set restrictions, and then they change again. So it sometimes changes fairly quickly. So you have to be able to respond to that situation quickly, rapid and flexible approach to what you're going to do. Excuse me. Okay. Then the next thing was, as was said before, was to focus on the things that you can do. And the way we did that was to sit down and write a simple age-appropriate plan. And we're going to use that word age-appropriate a lot, because the things that you do have to be tailored towards, let's say, a 7-year-old or a 15-year-old. And your plan requires quite a lot of thought in that regard. And the key thing is to create a buzz and to create motivation. And if you're going to keep people involved in judo, keep their attention, you have to motivate them. So we identified that the retention was our goal. And then the next thing we had to do was to get to people and engage our members. So the key thing here is the communication to people. People need clear, friendly, calming, because remember, parents are, especially at the beginning, stressed, and continuous communication with everybody. And then we identified that it was very important to, although the program would be for the players, we had to engage the parents, because they're the people who give the kids access to Facebook or programs. So you really need to get the parents on board. And then we thought about the ways that we could communicate. And we very quickly worked out that some people were on Facebook all the time. Some people were never on Facebook. Some people didn't read their emails very often, and some people did. So we looked at all the ways that we could communicate with people, and we did that. We phoned them, we emailed them, we texted them. They were literally sick of us communicating with them. It was like that. But this is what created the loyalty. Parents were looking for stability, for somewhere to go, some support, and the club stepped right into that space. They were the go-to place. They provided stability. They trusted the club. They trusted what we did. And that's how we built up that loyalty. And that was a crucial thing. Just an email saying the club's closed or an email every month, it won't cut it. Regular, consistent, friendly communication. And you hear this word in judo a lot, which is the judo family. And if you've been doing judo a long time, you will understand that term, the judo family. And we created the Sportif family, and we refer to it all the time as the Sportif family. And slowly people became a part of the Sportif family. So we engaged everybody, we gave them the plan, and then we had to get on and we had to do the activities now. We had to back that up. This thing again about age appropriate, you need to put a lot of time and thought into that. And you have to look at the age ranges of your club, work out what stimulates and motivates those kids. Just the same as if you were taking a judo class. You write a judo class, relating to the age and ability of those players, those members. I think as a coach, you have to feel very comfortable with what you're delivering and the method you're going to deliver it. For example, if you feel comfortable on Zoom, then do that. If you don't feel comfortable on Zoom, don't do that. Do the things that you're comfortable with. Personally, I think judo is very difficult to teach on Zoom. I think it's extremely difficult, and I think it's potentially dangerous. So I never taught, or we haven't done any judo per se on Zoom, but other people have, and it worked fine, but it didn't work for us. The key thing though was that anything we did had to be judo, at least judo related. So any exercises, workshops, anything that we did had to have a significant relationship to judo. And we thought at the end of this, what is that we want these kids to have learned, be it more balancing, more flexibility. So it wasn't about doing things for the sake of doing them. There was a reason and a logic behind everything that we delivered. I see people throwing teddy bears around and empty jackets, and I'm not. If that's what you feel comfortable with, then that's fine. But for me, I think we have to be proud of our sport and not undersell it, not undervalue it. So the content of what you do in your program requires a lot of thought and has to be very specific. And of course, I keep coming back to this. We have to create this motivation between everybody. Does anybody, can I hand over to you on that, Ewan, to talk about this? Because I think this is an important part here.
Absolutely. So if anybody has anything to add there, or if you have a question about age appropriate or anything that he's brought up, please ask the questions. We want to have this interactive. We want to hear from you guys, and we want to hear your questions and your successes and your failures, but anything that'd be great. Okay. The last thing we want is just Peter just talking the whole time, which is fine because we're gonna learn a lot. But again, we want to learn together. So anybody has a question, you can raise your hand or put it into a chat box. We'll keep it moving. Okay, Rob, you can unmute yourself and then ask the question.
Okay, sounds good. Peter, I'd really like to know what you've done to be successful with children so far, if you've got any, that have a hard time keeping their focus.
Yeah. Well, we've got lots of kids like that. I'm thinking of a kid right now who has got some learning difficulties. He is working really well with his parents. So this kid called Cole, his mum will come into the session with him. But what we're doing in the sessions, let's say if it is a Zoom session, we're making the sessions tailored to the age groups. So Cole's group is under 10s, and it's a very short and dynamic Zoom session. It's over in 25 minutes. So he doesn't have to maintain his focus for a long time. And the skills that they're learning aren't very difficult skills, so they can get reward from those skills pretty quickly. And your skills have to be simple because you're delivering either on Zoom or as a part of a video clip. So this is when your coaching skills really, you have to really look into yourself to be clever and make the most of the things. Does that answer your question, Rob?
I think it does. Thank you so much, Peter.
Yeah, it's great.
Dave, Gord, if you want to ask your question.
Thank you. Peter, you mentioned that Zoom could be dangerous. Is that taken from the perspective that there is no social interaction between coach and judoka? Is because it depends on, for us anyway, the degree of restrictions that we have in our area. And so if we are unable to have physical contact with our competitor, then is the benefit of coming together more, again, the social interaction? Because after the class is finished, they don't advocate having chats and get together type of time spent after the class. So it's basically go home. So I'm curious about why Zoom could be dangerous.
So first of all, the social interaction and the players seeing each other and seeing the coach is brilliant, because that is, we're still out there. They might not be in their home, but they're still seeing their coach and making that connection. So that's really important. But what I mean is, what could be potentially dangerous is the techniques that you're using. So if you're, let's say for argument's sake, doing something like yoga, it's very controlled and it's very safe. If you're going to do anything like, let's say, throwing, okay, so I've seen some people using their brothers and sisters who don't do judo to practice things, right? They're not in the tatami, they don't know how to fall, they're not sure what's coming, and potentially somebody could get really hurt. And when you're in the normal class environment, you will know the kids who you have to watch, to control, but you can't control them when they're at home. So whatever it is that you're going to deliver on Zoom, you have to be very confident within yourself that it's absolutely safe and there isn't potential of somebody throwing their sister into a coffee table, or, do you get it's the content of what you do that could be potentially dangerous.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, everybody, Lynn will take your question. And then Carl, I think the rest of his session is going to answer your question, and then we're going to move on. So Lynn, go ahead, and then we're going to move on after this question.
Okay, thanks. Peter, at some point during the session today, will we be talking about skills that you are doing right now during trainings?
Next.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anyway, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm really good. Nice to see you. Good.
Shoveling snow as always.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect there, Peter.
Yeah. What we're gonna what I was giving you here with this first part is the background and the logic before we do the actual thing. Because what I think is happening is that some people are trying really hard and delivering stuff, but it's not really thought through. You've just got to apply the exact same principle as if you were teaching a class. What motivates your players? What skill sets do you want your players to have? What communication do you want to have your players? It's that logic. And I think that's one of the things that people are missing. So this slide here is specifically about that. And the last thing that I'm going to finish, sorry, is there another question here, Ewan?
No, that's it.
Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about when we're on this slide is I've said to you that I'm personally not comfortable about teaching judo on Zoom to kids. So there's some things that I've got to accept as a coach that I'm not very good at or I'm not confident about. So then what I need to try and do is to look around and see if there's people in my club who can deliver the things better than I can do, right? And I think that's a really important thing. So we're going to show a little clip now. So I'm going to apologize to everybody for the quality of these clips. When these clips are shown on Facebook, they are extremely sharp, extremely clear. But when as we've found out when we're practicing and bringing it here, because of the difference in people's broadband, they're not that as sharp as they should be, but they are normally extremely sharp. Now, this is a little program, 25 minutes. It's called Fun Fitness, and it's judo-related exercises or movements to engage the kids. The two girls that are teaching it are sisters. One is 16, one is 18. Both are British medalists. The younger one is number 2 in GB, and the older one is a full-time athlete, and she's number 1 in GB under 18. And they're just, we call them dynamic duo. They're the nicest kids you'll ever meet. And this is okay, so can we run that please, Nate? Right, that is just a really short clip, and we put that onto Facebook that just to prompt people that that's going to be on Tuesday at 4 o'clock. We also email them and text them. And then we have a little video clip that you're going to see in a second that we put on to the Facebook page so the kids know exactly what they're going to be doing in that session, and they can practice a little bit and collect any equipment that they need. So they get an email, they get a text, they get this a little promotional advertisement, and then they get this, and then they go to the Zoom. Can we see the second one now, Nate, please?
Great chatting, Sportif. Hope you're enjoying the nice weather. We've got a new circuit for you guys to do in the sun this week. This one's got a theme of head, shoulders, knees and toes for all the exercises. The first exercise is going to be squats. So Sophie's going to demonstrate for us in a minute. So she's going to touch her head, her shoulders, knees and toes all in one squat movement. The next one is going to be a plank variation. Sophie's going to get into a plank position. She's going to squeeze her belly and she's going to try and hold it while touching her head, shoulders, knees and toes. On to sit-ups now. So Sophie's going to start lying on her back and then she's going to touch her head, shoulders and then reaching up to touch her knees and toes. Okay, and the last one is going to be a wee bit more complicated, so Sophie's going to demonstrate. So she's going to jump up, she's then going to touch her shoulders, her knees, and she's going to go onto her belly, do a sausage roll, and jump back up again, just like this. Okay guys, we want you to do the whole thing 4 times over. We love to see you guys doing these circuits too, so make sure you post videos in the comments below. I want you all to stay safe, stay healthy and stay positive.
How great is that? These are kids from our club. We can only do that by, I was on FaceTime with the girls. We decided what we're going to do. They went and made that all on their own, the whole thing, came back, showed it to me. Then they put that up and then they come into a Zoom class doing that. I mean, if that doesn't get loyalty to the club and engage people in the club, nothing will. It could, and everybody loves those girls. They're the nicest girls you'll ever meet. So remember what I said, you need to focus on the things that you can do. And if you can't do it, look around and get somebody who's better than you. It's pretty easy in my club to find people better than me. There's no shortage. Okay, can we move on to the next slide, please, Nate? Right, okay, so now we're going to get to the actual things that you can do. This slide is going to take a while, everybody. Just be patient and we'll get through it, but I think it's important that we do go through it bit by bit. So the first, you've just seen Sophie and Hannah do the Fun Fitness Zoom class. So, excuse me, so you've seen that. One of the key things that I wanted everybody to do was to maintain the turning movement in judo. It's so specific to judo, and you've got to have that turning habit. And we wrote our plan for a year. And I'm thinking, if those kids are not doing rotations for a year, that's a problem. So then we set out to do these uchikomis. We initially, I won't spoil the Neil Adams surprise later on, but initially we wanted to use Neil Adams's bands, but Neil Adams's bands got sold out in 2 weeks. So what we did was we bought literally hundreds of meters of bungee. We cut them up, we tied them up, we put them in envelopes, and we posted a bungee to every member in the club. That was a lot of postage and a lot of bungee. Then we made simple video clips because the kids were in lockdown, and we taught them how to do uchikomis using that without Zoom. And where they are now with uchikomi bands is incredible. The way that they do it, they can do every technique. It's fantastic. But not only that, kids need something. This is for kids who are between 5 and 8 years old. Kids need stuff to motivate them. So we thought, right, what can we do? We looked around the internet and we noticed that Coca Kids had this really good, cool certificates. Could you flash those certificates up for me, Nate, please? Okay, so you can see that those are really cute. You can download them. That's why they're there. And the first one was that the kids had to do 100 uchikomis in a week. I set the uchikomis and give them the little clip that went on, I did the bands, and it went on to the Facebook page. And let's say it was Taitoshi and Seinagi. They had to do Taitoshi left, Seinagi right, and they had to do 100. And then they had to film a little section of it and post it on the members' Facebook page. So they did that. When they completed that in a week, they got an electronic copy of this certificate and a little email saying, fantastic, brilliant effort. That was it. So in a week, they've got an uchikomi challenge and they've got Fun Fitness for the little guys. And that uchikomi challenge was incredible. How many people took that up, especially right at the very beginning. And the kids love stuff like that. So can we go back to the slide, please, Nate? Okay, so I talked at the start about not only engaging the players, but trying to engage the family, the Sportif family. So I don't know if you guys use the Strava running app in Canada, but it's very popular here. It's an app on your phone that records cycling, running, swimming. It's dead simple. You load it, you will have your own version. You just download it on your phone. And this is what we did. We said that on a Tuesday at 10 o'clock and on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, everybody had to run together as a team, the whole club. You had to wear your Sportif t-shirt and you had to log in at exactly 10 o'clock, and you could walk, run, jog, or cycle. And you had to do that, record it on the Strava app, and then post it onto the Facebook page. That worked incredibly well because everybody was on lockdown. The parents took their kids out walking first. And then we realized how many parents were involved. And then we realized that most of the parents had never trained before. So we got another kid in the club to make a Coach to 5K video, and it was brilliant. And then we started to do a Couch to 5K, and suddenly parents who had never trained ever before now had a goal. They wanted to do a 5K, and they were doing it with their kids. So every Tuesday, every Saturday it was then, everybody was out exactly 10 o'clock, Sportif t-shirts, doing their stuff. Tomorrow morning, we've got Strava at 10 o'clock because we've got a 5K race against what's left of the Blues. So in about 2 weeks' time, the Maroons are going to run the blues into the ground. That's how that's going to happen. But now the blues are motivated and the parents are also involved, because for just completing 5K in an hour, you get 2 points for the team. So Strava, brilliant. When we could get outside, we did outdoor training. Actually, sorry, Nate, could we show that little clip of the Strava, please? Can we play it again, because we missed the start, if that's possible? It's a very quick clip. I'm going to tell you a great story. The dad and the son that you see running at the beginning of that clip, that's Ross. Ross has got some mobility problems. He's an absolutely brilliant kid. And we run that couch to 5K. And I mean, I live in the middle of nowhere in the countryside. And I was driving down the road and I bumped into those two completely by chance. And that was Ross finishing a 5K, his first one. I just timed it perfectly and managed to film it. And that literally was life-changing for Ross. You never thought that little boy could do that. Those video clips that I'm making there, as I said, they don't look fantastic here because of the broadband, but they're on a little thing that you do on your phone called Vimeo. I don't know if people use it. It's really, really good little app. You just film some stuff, put some stills in, decide what it is you want to do. Let's say it's Strava. You put it into this app and it does it for you. You don't have to have any fantastic edit skills. I am the least technical person you have ever met. But they produce nice little sharp videos that, again, when the parents see these on Facebook or you send them to them, it just sets us apart from the rugby club, the hockey club, the gymnastics club. And that's what we need to do. We need to be ahead of the game all the time, professional and quality all the time. And this is just time. There's nothing, this is just about being committed and putting the time in to make it, to do it properly. Nick, could I go back to the slide here, please, Nate? Thank you. And then what we did, we're talking about the 5 to 8 year olds here. We put a monthly timetable together. The first of the month, they knew exactly what they were going to be doing every day for the whole month. And then we backed that up with the communication. Has anybody got any questions on the 5 to 8 year olds?
I've got a question. Do you charge a monthly fee to the athletes so they attend the online trainings, or is it all for free?
No. So what happened when we are a business? So when we went into lockdown and we closed down, we sent a letter out to everybody and we said, we understood that everyone's in a difficult situation. We said to everybody, you know, if you can't pay fees, you don't want to pay fees, that's absolutely fine, but you've still got access to everything. If you would like to make a donation to the club, we would really appreciate that. That's all we said. Doesn't matter if you paid or you didn't pay, you still got access. Because A, I want to do that, and B, I want long-term loyalty from people. I want them to come back. And really importantly, I want to look after people, because that is what Sportif is genuinely built on. Developing people, offering opportunity. And people, I think that people in Sportif get that. I think that parents realise that we genuinely care about their kids. So that's how we did that financially. Perfect.
Is there any other questions coming from anybody on that age group, 5 to 8 years old? Please put your hand up, or you can put something in the chat box really quick. If not, we'll move on. Okay, I've got a question from Gary Sova. So Gary, you can open your mic and ask your question.
I was just wondering, Peter, is all judo locked down in Scotland like it is in our province?
It is now, yeah. But we were very fortunate, Gary. We went into lockdown at the beginning of March. We got out in June to do some outdoor stuff, and then in October we got back on the mat. And between October and December, we were doing judo again. And I think that was the crucial thing, that we had a period that we got back on the mat. If we hadn't got back on the mat, I think it would have been a different situation. So it's been open, close, basically.
Yeah, we were the same. We closed in March 2020, opened in October, got 8 judo lessons in, and then we were shut down till right now.
And that is difficult, Gary. England is in the same situation, and yeah, I know. I don't know where we would be if we hadn't had that opportunity, Gary. So there is different variants for different areas, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It was important just to get our club started.
Yeah. So in that 3-month period, again, as soon as that hit, we did a beginner's intake. We'll talk about this a little bit later on. We did a bring a friend, and we got 60 new members, brand new 60 new members in the 3-month period. We had an in-house club tournament, which worked brilliantly. And what else? Yeah. And then we had like a beach day with barbecue. You know, as soon as we got the opportunity, boom. And remember, I said to you right at the beginning, you need to be engaged, be reactive. You need to be, as soon as the opportunity is there, you need to be on that.
I'm hearing it.
Yeah, all the time, ahead of the game.
Okay, good.
Okay, thanks, Peter.
Okay.
I've got one more question. Just if you could, actually 2 more questions. If you can name that video program that you used again, just so that Mark Higgs can hear it.
Vimeo. It's brilliant.
The other question that's up there, and then we'll move on, is when you're back on the mats, was it full contact? Were you in cohorts? Was it some social distancing, or was it basically normal judo?
First of all, it was under 12s, full contact. And then about a month later, it was under 17s, full contact.
And how about the size of the groups?
Well, there wasn't real limitations on that. We had the size of the group depending on the size of the tatami and the amount of coaches we had. So, for example, in Trinent, we've got a very big tatami, and we probably took about 22 people on that. In other clubs where we were a smaller tatami, we took 10 people. So we just applied common sense to each. It meant we had to coach a lot more. We had a lot of coaches, you know, mat time, but anyway, that was the correct way to do it.
Perfect. Okay, I think we're good, Peter. We'll move on, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so on to the next age group. So, you know, if I was delivering a session not about COVID, about just regular judo, this is the one thing that I'll be pushing all the time, that coaches are aware of the capabilities and the motivations of each age group. You have to get to that. So if we look at the next age group, 9 to 12-year-olds, so we're looking at what fires those guys up. And at this age, these kids become more competitive, that's for sure. And our club is a very competitive club. We have a big talent program in the club, and we're committed to competition. So we started something called Zoom Games, asking people just to do some exercises at home. Okay, we'll do them. And then, you know, doing a Zoom class once a week. Okay, not very interesting. But then we came up with this concept of Zoom Games, and we had 5 exercises that you could do. You had to do ichikomis, press-ups, jacket, hold onto a jacket, you know, hanging your weight on that, judo sit through, and a squat and high pull. And we developed those. We showed them online how to do it, and they had to go away and practice it at home 2 days a week. And then they had to come once a week and go through them. And that was all leading to a competition that we called the Zoom Games Interclub in age group. And people were fighting to be first or second in those Zoom Games. The next stage from that was I organised a team contest against a club called Bishop Stortford. Now, with the British Championships, the last British Championships, they were the #1 team in Great Britain, and we were the #2 team in Great Britain. And that really bothers us a lot, right? So nobody better to challenge than Bishop Stortford. So actually this morning, early this morning, we had a team trial on the Zoom games to pick the team to compete against Bishop Stortford next week. And this thing about being only 2 people got picked in each band to represent the club has been massive. And the commitment from the kids, because it's competitive, has been huge. Nate, can we show a little clip of the Zoom Games promotional video, please?
What is the team, guys? What is the team? Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Right. So remember I said we were competing against the Blues in the 5K. So we've got this 5K race against the Blues, but this competition against Bishop Stortford is like, it's like the Olympic Games for these guys. It's like it's the constant talking point between everybody in the group about beating Bishop Stortford. Nate, can we go back to the slides, please? What we did was, I didn't present it here because it's too long. One of the kids at the club prepared a video, and you can see it on the Sportif Facebook page, of the exact exercises you have to do to take part. And she does it so well. Her name's Maya Thompson. So that was the Zoom Games. The 100 Uchikomis, the Uchikomi challenge I showed you with the younger guys, we extended that to the older guys, this group, and we took up to 1,000 Uchikomis. And that became much more technical. I'm going to show you a little clip of one of the little girls doing it, a little girl called Yulani. And this is just doing a Sinagi and Taitoshi. And this is, again, just learning it at home. Can we have a look at that little clip of Yulani, please? That's fine, Nate. That video format doesn't do that justice at all, because when she's doing that, it's really, really nice and smooth. And she's just turned 9, Yulani. So it has worked extremely well. The next thing I explained to you, we've been posting different types of challenges, simple circuits, things to motivate people on Facebook. And this group is also involved in the Strava training group. Worked great. These guys, outdoor stuff, you've seen some guys flipping tires over there. So we've made the outdoor stuff really interesting. Again, talking about bringing people in to help. I looked around the club, we've got some mums and dads in the club. One's one of the rowing instructors, coaches for Scotland. We've got a couple of guys who are ex-professional rugby players, some mums that are triathlon. So we looked around at the ideal people to come and put together a conditioning group. And instead of me saying, this is what we're going to do, we sat down as a team on Zoom, and they put down the ideas of the stuff that we could do outdoors. And the outdoor stuff is, our guys are in physically in excellent condition because of that outdoor stuff that we did during the summer when we could, but now they've continued to do it on their own. It's worked brilliantly. And this thing about trying to involve the parents. So we might have, for example, a one-off outdoor day where we're running along the beach and doing exercises and stuff at the beach. But we'll also finish that by having a gazebo up and having hot dogs or Coca-Colas, or socially distance, have some music. Great parents come. Parents are running with the younger guys. Have them in, maybe have one group of 20 at that time, then an hour later another group. it's a lot of work. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of work. But if you want to keep those guys, you have to put in a lot of work. It's as simple as that. But that's basically been the program for the 9 to 12-year-olds. And we're constantly changing it all the time. It's not repetitive. We're changing it. Anybody got any questions on that one?
Okay. Hey, anything other than his accent is strong?
Is it too strong for everybody?
It's good. Okay, and there's like, again, there's similarities between each of these age groups as they move up, and you'll see, but there is some distinct differences. And again, when you guys run your programs, most of you have to recognize like you said, the key factor is the personalities and motivations, and what things work for one age group and ones that are like, that's not for me, because they've grown out of that mentality. So
absolutely.
Okay, we have a Gary, you want to ask another question? Go ahead. You have hands up there, Gary, or that's from before? I think that's from before. I think we can move on there, Peter.
Okay, and the last age group, the 12 to 18-year-olds, in some ways it's the easiest group. In another way, it's the most difficult group. You try to motivate a teenager, that's tricky, right? But if you can motivate them, they will go to the end of the earth for you. So you've already built up relationships with the kids in your club. The kids in your club really like you, and you have this understanding together, and you can work together. So the first thing I'm thinking about these older kids is, can they use a gym? You couldn't buy a gym bench here, even if you're a millionaire, because they were just sold out. So I looked in the garage and around the garden, and I had some breeze blocks they've been using to build something in the house, and I had some chipboard and a carpet. So I showed everybody how to make their own home gym. So we cut it up, we built it up, literally how you build it. And using simple dumbbells, told them to beg, borrow, or steal some interchangeable dumbbell, anything they could get their hands on. And then I made them safe circuits and programs that they could do in their home gym. Nothing like a cleaning press where they could hurt their backs, or nothing technically complicated, but simple stuff that a 14-year-old boy wants to have big guns, that type of stuff, and other things they could do to benefit their judo. So home gym worked really well. Then we went on to the Uchikomi bands, and when we got to this group, we could really start to improve people's skills with the bands. I mean, they could literally do everything and do it moving. And then I thought, wait a minute, I need to really, how do I really motivate people to use the bands? I need to pull some favors and to speak to some people I know who might be able to help me and motivate. And as soon as I asked people to help me, they couldn't help me quick enough. Could we show the next clip, please, Nate, the woman Neil? Come on, Neil Adams, please.
Konnichiwa, Team Sportif. It's Neil Adams here, world champion, 2-time Olympic silver medalist and 5 times European champion. Now, Peter tells me that you guys are really hard working and that your aim on the mat is to throw for Ippon. Well, I'm with you on that because it's all about the Ippon. And even though we're not on the mat at the moment, we can still train to throw for Ippon, and I'm going to show you exactly how. Now, I've seen on the internet, there's a lot of people out there trying to get fit, trying to keep fit, restricted amount of space in order to move, and also doing exercises related to judo, sometimes with a partner, that are technically not correct. Now, I want to help you to get this right, because the small parts, getting the small parts, there's nothing stopping us getting it right, even though we're doing it at home. All right, so that means that if, for example, we're using bands in order to get our rotations and our uchikomi, remember that repetition doesn't make perfect, it makes permanent. So we need to get it correct. And it means that if we're rotating all the way round here, that we need to be able to get a full 180-degree turn every single time. We also need to get the pulling action here and the kazushi, and also the suruti hand, which is the lapel hand, all working at the same time as our feet, so that when we get the rotation, everything is working together. That's the main aim, and we can do it in a restricted area. So, over the next few weeks, I'll be teaching you how to use these bands to develop your skills. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay positive, everybody, because we will get through this together. See you soon.
What can you say? When Neil Adams pops up on your Facebook, it tells you this is how you do your uchikomis. You just got to pick up a set of bands and start doing uchikomis. And people like Neil, the good guys out there, the Nicholas Gills, those guys will help you. Just ask them for help. Tell them what you want and ask them, and they'll be more than happy. And Neil done a series of little videos there for us, for nothing, and we backed it up with our own stuff. And as I said, the kids on the bands are amazing. Next thing was the Zoom games. I've told you about that. We've explained that. So these guys are doing that at a different level. We did Zoom yoga. One of the coaches at the club, ex-internationalist, Ewan knows her well, Jenny Bryan, excellent judo player. She's got her own gym. She's a yoga instructress. So she comes in once a week and does family yoga. And mums, dads, little guys, big guys, on they come, do, it's probably about 25 minutes yoga. It's brilliant. So Jenny's happy to help. Really, really appreciative. That word there, adventure. So if you think about these teenagers I talked about, if you're going to motivate them, you have to have something to fire up their imagination. So we started, or we did before the second lockdown, an adventure race where they're going to be in teams of 5, and they're going to be over a long distance. It's going to take all day. They've got to cycle, they've got to run, they've got to go through obstacles. Again, it's a big responsibility and a lot of work, but suddenly people are out on Strava on their mountain bikes or running longer distances because they want their team to win the adventure race. And the last thing on this group is these kids need something to look forward to. You know, we had a group of 16 kids who were taken to Tokyo to the Olympics last year. And we'd spent 2 years collecting the money and motivating and everything. Can you imagine being told that now you can't go to Japan to see the Olympic Games? It's like blow their minds. So the next thing we had to do was to look at other things that we can say, okay, we're in lockdown just now. But when we got out of lockdown, we're going to come to Canada to take part in the tournament. We're going to do a camp in the mountains. Anything that's appropriate for the age group, that's something they can hang their hat on. They know that in 6 months' time, we're going to do that. So all of those things just to keep people switched on and motivated. And yeah, that's the plan. It's working kind of okay. Does anybody have any questions on that 12 to 18-year-olds?
There anything out there? And remember, guys, this isn't a provincial organization. This is a club. A club is doing this, an individual club. So again, it's something that I want everybody to think about. JF, go ahead. You have a question.
Yes. Hi, Peter.
Hi,
can you elaborate a little bit on the Zoom games?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if you like, when you're finished, if Ewan gives me your contact, we can meet up some platform, and I'll go through the whole thing in detail with you, and I'll send you all the information.
Okay, sounds
In
good.
full detail. Yeah, because we've got it all in detail, and it take a long time to get the nuances.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a little story about the motivation, how this started was. We have a kid here in our club called Luke Thompson. He actually competed at the Edmonton tournament last year, and he won his division, and he won the other division. And his mum's Canadian, and he's going to be coming over to Canada to live and be a Canadian judo player. He's got citizenship now, so that's the plan. Anyway, Nuno Delgado, who's our sister club in Portugal, set up a similar kind of Zoom games thing, and we had to pick one player, and they had to pick one player. And Nuno's got a lot of connections in television in Portugal, and they put on a very big event. And the guy that he had was 18, and Luke was 14. And when we presented Luke to Nuno, he said that, no, he's too young. You know, this kid that I've got he's just too strong for him. But when we had this televised head-to-head, Portugal versus Scotland, Luke won it. So that was the kind of motivation to start the whole Zoom games thing. But I'm very happy to share all that with you.
Hey, just quickly, just to throw out some props, there's some questions coming in here. We will get as much information to you guys as possible about the Zoom games. And Peter won't be able to have individual meetings with everybody, so I will be kind of selective on, you know, JF is he's executive director of Judo Quebec, definitely, you know, but we'll do our best to get you everything. But there's a lot on his Facebook. Go to the Facebook and you're going to learn a lot. Also, big props out to Judo Quebec, who ran a Judo Fit program, a team competition where they put teams against each other in their province and did a great bracket and actually, you know, had a provincial champion and everything like this. Great ideas. These are the ideas that bring us forward.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. Could we move on to the next slide, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, that yeah, we'll come back to that in a second. Okay. Let me just get to that. Sorry, Nick, can we go to the next bullet point, please? And I'll come back to that one. Thank you. So let's assume that we're going to get through this in one piece, because we're going to get through this in one piece. Now you need to look ahead at what you're going to do to get back and how you're actually going to survive and then thrive. So let's talk about that bit by bit. As I said, you've got to keep ahead of COVID the whole time. One of the things and one of the problems has been venues. Venues don't reopen. Some venues might close permanently, or if it's a school, for example, you can't get access. So in this period, you have to keep, if you don't have a fixed dojo, you need to maintain positive communication with your venue. That's really important. Even just to say hi, so that you're on their radar. If you think that your venue might not open, don't wait till 2 weeks before and look for a new venue. Look for possible A, B, and C alternatives to the venue that you've had and provisionally book them now. That was one of the things that we did. We were months ahead and booking potential venues so that when it did reopen, we didn't have that much of a problem, although we had 2 venues that we couldn't open. But I know that the Blues have had huge problems with venues. Because remember what is happening now, the hockey club, the gymnastic club, the taekwondo club, they're all looking for venues. The times have been changed, so you need to make sure that you're absolute priority on that venue list. And then you will find that the venues, if you haven't experienced this already, are going to ask you to have a return to judo policy. And I'm sure that Judo Canada will provide that for you. But you need to have that at your fingertips so that when you do go back, you have got this safe return to judo policy. And a policy that goes out to your parents so that they are confident that you are safeguarding their kids and doing the best that you can do. when they're coming back to judo. So those are the key things about your venue. Don't wait till the last minute. Look for new venues, get your safe return policy in place, and have a really solid, robust plan to keep kids safe while they're there. Promotion now. It's interesting. I read through everybody's questionnaires and I found them very interesting. Some clubs have been doing a lot of work during this period. Some clubs haven't done that much work. But the one message that came clear to me was that when we asked if there's something you would like help with, that one thing was how to market your club. And that's what we're going to discuss a little bit now. So create a little promotional plan in advance. Doesn't have to be anything super fancy, but just simple, basic marketing things. First of all, you need to re-engage your members, the existing members. Some people might have been involved in your classes and you might have had communication, but even though kids don't come onto your Zoom classes or don't come onto Facebook, it doesn't mean they're not engaged. They perhaps just don't want to use Zoom or they don't want to come onto Facebook, but they are engaged. But immediately, through your promotion, re-engage your members, first thing. Then, if you're going to have beginners classes, if it's possible, I suggest that you do a beginners only class. And this is the time to do that. Integrating them into an existing class is okay, but it's way better having age-banded beginners classes. I'm going to show you a little beginners back to, before I'm going to do that, I'm going to show you a little video clip to engage your members, just to prompt them that you're going back to judo. Can we show that one, please, Nate? Can you see how that video was aimed at a very specific age group? Very specific, very targeted. This is not about the cadets that are in the team. This is about your average, if you want to call it, recreational bread and butter kid. And it's to let the parents be enthused and motivated. That went on Facebook, as well as all the other promotional things like texts, like emails, like phone calls, actually, about going back to judo. So really let everybody know that judo was back. And then we talked about the beginners classes, how we could restart that. So can we play the next little video? This was a little video that went with beginners classes. Again, you know, when we're targeting beginners, that stuff will be going out on Facebook, and we'll talk about how you can buy some advertising space. When we're starting beginners, it's unlikely that we're going to be starting kids over the age of 12. It's likely to be primary school kids. So the advertising needs to be targeting that specific group of kids. In my opinion, when people show your big crashing judo throws and stuff, for a non-judo person, that could be really frightening. So all positive, movement, friendship, confidence, progression, if I'm a mum or a dad, that's the type of thing that I want to hear. So we're clearly, getting that information out there. And we're putting that out through social media, through Facebook, through Instagram. And recently, we've not started it, but we're probably going to start it because a friend of mine who has also got a professional club, they've been buying some advertising space on Facebook, and that's apparently been working really well. So I'm definitely going to have a look at that later on. Our promotional products. So can we flash up those images, please, Nate? I think that, so we've got the little flyer there, the two in the middle there. So on one side, you've got that Judo for Beginners, and it's on really good heavy paper. It's not light, it's good quality paper. On the back, it's got interchangeable information. Excuse me. And it's bright, it's attractive to a kid. Remember at the start, the parents don't know the difference normally between judo and karate and taekwondo. They just know it's guys in pajamas. So you have to make everything that you do, if you're targeting that age group, bright and attractive to kids. And then the second thing, which it works extremely well, is this bring a friend. And if you bring a friend to judo and they join up after 4 weeks, the person that you bring, you get a really cool t-shirt, and it is a really cool little t-shirt, a little judo monkey thing from Coca Kids. So everybody talks about everything should be on social media. I disagree. I think it's a bit of everything is effective, and having good glossy professional information, it counts, because the rugby club doesn't put that out there and the football club doesn't put that out there. I just know they don't. So that first impression and the investment in your marketing material, I think, is really, really important. Can we go back there now, Nate, please? Great. And I guess for us, the best thing is direct contact in schools. And that will be difficult, I know, when we go back. But we will, for example, go into schools, and we might be there for 2 days and just take 3 judo classes. So come in and we'll just teach 45 minutes judo to one class, to the next class. We bring judo kits in, we bring the mats in.
I could do this right away. I wouldn't be doing one.
And we deliver classes for them. And then they get those flyers that you've just seen, and they take them home. We also work with something that we call Active Schools, which I don't know if you have it in Canada. And that's an organisation, that's a government organisation that's there to promote activity in children. And they really support Sportif because it works for them. So that's basically our kind of promotional way that we get people to the club. But having an absolute strategy and launching the correct strategy at the right time is very important. Does anybody have any questions on promotion? Because I think that that's really important in the next phase that we go into. Anything
Sorry, anybody have anything about this? I know that, you know what, this is one of the big areas of that we need to do better. And one thing to say is that, again, there's stuff that each coach can do, but also look at the talent within your club. And then actually talking to Chad, remember also, you know, talk to people and actually find and make sure that you're hitting the right target. So have some teenagers actually help you with some of the technology if it's a technology area. But I did ask Peter. I said, hey Peter, are you getting people to make your videos? And Peter said, hey, you know what, I use a simple program, we do it in-house, you know. And again, I think the idea of the multiple different multimedia attacks, you know, is the key thing. But really, it's the message of, you know, you want to be part of that. It's friendly, it's inviting, it's it's, you want people to be part of that. So that, I think those are some of the great things. And if you have questions, please open up and ask the questions. If not, we'll move on. So right now, I don't have anybody with any questions. So maybe Peter, if we can move on, and we'll keep going. Oh, 1 second. Bianca had one. Sorry, go ahead, Bianca.
Oh, okay, I can just ask it.
Yep.
My question was, you were talking about coaches and how they can utilize platforms and everything, phone calls, whatever, to use for promotional marketing and doing things. But are these coaches that are from the clubs where you are? Are they full-time coaches, or are they volunteers? Do they have day jobs?
I
What
think
is their situation? Because in Canada, a lot of our coaches are volunteers.
Yeah, so I actually think in a way it's completely irrelevant if you're a professional coach or you're a volunteer coach. I think the problem is time. If you are in lockdown and you're at home, looking after your kids and stuff, or whatever situation you find yourself, then your time is limited. We're in a different situation because we're doing it full time. So I completely get that and accept that you've got to find the time to do it. So I think if it doesn't matter so much if you're a volunteer or you're a professional. It's just about how much time you have to make those things happen. Sportif is set up in different ways. We have some coaches that are full-time professionals in Sportif, and we've got other people who are even, let's say, Hannah and Sophie, if they come and help with a class, we'll pay them, even if we're just a support coach. So, everybody get a little bit of pocket money if they want to come and help. But yeah, that key thing about having time, and it's not just time. The Blues and the Reds were also professional coaches. They chose not to go in 100%. They made that decision. We made the decision not to have the summer and the rest of the year off. We made a decision to really have a go. And that's, yeah, I would love to have, it was actually quite a nice summer here, could you believe? And we were inside in the kitchen actually doing stuff. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, just because I know that a lot of people, once COVID started happening and we were locked down more, for example, I know one of our club coaches, he has a full-time job as a teacher and he has 4 kids to manage, one with autism, so for me as part of a provincial organization to try to tell him or try to motivate him to keep going with the club and stuff, it's not easy. Like there's many people in these situations, so where they decided that, sorry, judo, I love judo, I have to put it to the side, it's my family that comes first.
Family is first, Bianca. That's same here. That has to be like that. And what I don't want to do in this webinar is to guilt anybody. I think that's really, really important. Everybody's situation is different. I totally get that. The time limitations are different. So it's about doing as much as you possibly can, or as much as you want to. If you don't want to do it, then it's fine. But if you want to do it, at least some of the ideas, hopefully people can adopt here and they can implement them. But I don't want to kind of guilt anybody into it because you've managed to do quite a bit. Does that make sense?
Yep. No, it's like you said, it's time and it's the willing and wanting at the same time.
Yeah. We're going to have one more question in a second. Just to elaborate on one thing, we're talking right now on the promotional bullet, and right now with the clubs that are closed, if there's going to be a time in our judo career to get ready for promotion, it's this time right now where some people aren't coaching, they aren't as busy, and it might be filled up with other things, but there is time. There is a different time, because usually the time that we're missing is the judo time, and maybe we can use some of that time instead and say, hey, usually I do judo on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 to 10. well, maybe one time a week, you go 8 to 10 and you work on your promotional plan. But you come in with an actual plan. With that being said, Paul, do you have a question? Paul Hashi, you have your hand up there.
Yeah, just hey, Peter. Just a quick question about budget and how much, I don't need to know the exact amount, but maybe a percentage of the Sportif budget that was put towards your promotional activities.
Not very much, Paul, because the only thing that requires really budget there is the flyers. And if I've discussed this with you, and if I was you guys, I would either get together provisionally or as even clubs and have a generic flyer that you all use. You know, if you buy 1,000 flyers, that costs X, but if you buy 20,000, they come substantially cheaper. So only flyers. Everything that we do on Facebook, or that doesn't cost anything. But as I said, we're going to probably try and invest some money in Facebook advertising. I'm not sure about that, but up to now, the only budget we have is for promotional flyers. That's it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. I just was wondering if you guys used, you know, any other outside consultants or anything like that, or graphic designers or anything.
Well, two things. First of all, who knows judo better than a judo guy? So don't ask anybody else. But what you just said about the artwork and stuff, we're really big on that. The company who does our print for us, as a part of the print deal, they also do our graphics free. That's the part. And that thing about having a brand and an image is very big for me personally, to keep that going forward. So we make sure that, you know, whatever it is we're trying to put out has to have a good standard to represent whatever we're trying to do. So the printer is also the graphic design guy. But once you've normally got a piece of artwork put together, it can roll for a good couple of years before you have to change it, if you like.
Yeah, I guess you can have some consistency then.
Yeah, exactly. A theme going through what you're doing. Yeah. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks.
I think, yeah, let's just keep moving on there, Peter, if that's fine.
Time-wise. Okay, so the last part of what we're talking about just now here is the things that you can do. We've talked about that a lot. I think you need to be aware going forward now that the competition isn't within judo. The competition is, as I keep saying, well, it's going to be ice hockey for you guys, gymnastics, soccer, those other activities, taekwondo, they're all looking for the same customer. And you have to have a really solid marketing plan, a promotional strategy that separates you from everybody else. When a parent looks at your material, they go, these guys look great. This is different. I will at least give that a try. And that will come down to the quality of the marketing stuff that you have. The second thing is, I know how it works in Canada. You guys open up, you know, you're seasonal and you basically close for the summer. And you're going to, most clubs or a lot of clubs will open up in September. I think that is a fatal mistake. And I think that will cost you, that will cost clubs just that. I think if it was me, I would open up the very first day that I could open up. I wouldn't wait another week, another month, another 2 months. I would definitely be on that right away. And if for some reason you can't do that because of the venue, again, if it was me, I would be having summer camps and things going all through the summer so that you're engaging kids. So they're not getting engaged with the soccer camp or the hockey camp or the gymnastics camp. If you can't have them in your dojo, then have them doing something else. But we close for 2 weeks in summer, 2 weeks at Christmas, a week at Easter, and a week in October. We're open the rest of the year. And I think you should do that. And I definitely think that wait until September, that's risky. For me, I'm just talking about from a purely promotion and keeping your kids in. Yeah. And if it's always been like that, just change it. Just change it. I live in the borders of Scotland, right? I've lived here for 20 years and nobody talks to me because I'm an outsider. You know, it takes 50 years before they talk to you. And we've got a saying down here, they say, it's always been. That means it's always been. And just because judo's been this way, doesn't mean it can't change. You need to change it. And because somebody else, don't worry what anybody else is doing. You do what you want to do. Change it, break the mold, be better than it was before. Other things to consider, I just discussed camps with you. Then the other thing I think is brilliant about this is to look at everything you do with a completely fresh set of eyes. When we first started Sportif, I'd been working abroad for quite a long time. I hadn't taught kids for years, and I mean years. I came back to Scotland, there was a job that I interviewed for. I very arrogantly thought I would get the job, and I didn't get the job. I had 2 kids. We were living in a rented house, and I had to think, what am I going to do? And then we came up with a whole sort of concept of Sportif Judo, a professional judo model that treated the members as customers and provided a service. We were the first to do that. Now it's common. So many people do it in Great Britain. In fact, it saved British judo, the number of members that has brought in. But nobody had done that before. Just do the same. Come up with ideas, fresh concepts that have never been done before, and just run with them. So that when you do get back, when it is November and December, you're not just at the same starting place, you're better than you were before. I can tell you that I have learned so much during this period, and it's really tested me as a coach and all my experience to think, what can I do to be better? And I think that's super important for everybody. Anybody, any questions on that? I think we're almost just about right on time there, Ewan. We're doing good. Ewan, any?
Andre, do you want to unmute and ask your question? Sorry.
Yes. Hi, Peter. Can you repeat once again, how many weeks per year do you run your program?
Well, we run all year. We're off for 2 weeks in summer, 2 weeks at Christmas, 1 week at Easter for the tournament, and 1 week in October. We run the whole rest of the year.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah, that's fine. Can we move on to that last slide now? Yeah. Just to kind of sum up. So just a summary of where we are. You know, if I was William Wallace and this was a Braveheart movie, this is the point he would step up and he would make that speech, right? But seriously, this is that Braveheart moment for everybody. I am not joking. We either step up right now and fight and sort this out, or we sit back and we just let it go. And everybody at this meeting right now, you know what judo has done for you and how it's totally changed your life. It just has. It's the thing that separates you from everybody else. And you're just going to let that go because of COVID? I don't think so. So it really is the time that we have to find out what we're made of and push on, because people are relying on us right now. Because if we don't do this, the coaches, nobody's going to do it. We rise or fall on what we do as coaches right now. And it's really, really important because judo matters, people. It really matters. It really changes life. It's not just a sport. And that sport survival is hanging in the balance for many clubs. Most will get through, but some won't. So step up right now between now and the summer, and we'll get through this together. There's just a little sort of quickly going over the main points. I told you to focus on what you can do. That's important. To move quickly and adapt. First, we need to survive by retaining people, engaging people, motivating people. And then when we're through that, we need to thrive, promote, motivate, get people back in. And the most important thing is we need to take control of the situation. You can't have COVID controlling us. We control what's happening. Thanks very much, everybody. Really appreciate your time. Really do.
Before Peter departs, or before we end this, there's just a couple little things. The lifeline of judo is the clubs and are the coaches.
Yep.
It's not Judo Canada. It's not Judo Alberta. You guys run and you gain members, right? So really, all I can say is that if we're going to survive and grow, it's going to be through the efforts of every single judo club. And that's how we're going to go there. You'll be supported by your province and you'll be supported by your NSO, by Judo Canada. But really it is the hard work and, you know, the sometimes overlooked efforts of the club coaches, but it is you guys. It really is. Before Peter leaves, I'd like to thank him very much, but the president of Judo Alberta would like to have a couple closing comments.
Can I just say one thing before Trevor speaks?
Absolutely.
One thing is that we have got two Facebook pages. We've got Sportif Judo Facebook page, and I'd like everybody, if you can, to join that. And if you join that page, I will post stuff on it for you. We also have a Sportif members page, which is a closed page for members, and that's actually where all the real stuff is. All where our members post stuff, and I put the small detail. The big one that you can join, the Sportif members page, it doesn't have that much stuff. If there's anything that you want me to put on, go onto that, send me a message, and I will be happy to send you any information, video clips. I'm more than happy to help anybody with anything that I can do. So if you join the page, that would be great. Okay, thanks everybody.
Go ahead, Trevor.
Hey guys, so first and foremost, thank you everybody for coming. I'm looking at the participant list, and yeah, over 80 people, and I know there's 2 people on some of the chat, so that's amazing. Thanks for everybody for taking time out of your Saturday to do this. And thank you to Peter so much for doing it. I know it's is it 10 o'clock in Scotland right now, Peter? 10 o'clock p.m.
It's early. We're just going to have a margarita after this.
So thank you for taking the time out of your evening to do this. And I wanted to tell everybody, I first met Peter in 2012 while he was in Saskatchewan putting on a coaching program and a clinic there. And I was talking to Peter about this a couple weeks ago. And when I left that clinic, I took the information personally that Peter gave us in that clinic. And I could honestly say I used that to develop my junior and my intermediate programs when I was at the Airdrie Judo Club. And those were some of the best classes, I think, that I ever had with my athletes. The stuff that Peter does and puts on, it's very good. I'm sure everybody made notes and everybody pulled something out of this. Take this stuff and use it, and you will see improvement, and you will see member retention and that in your clubs. I'm sure everybody is going to have a lot of buy-in after this session, because this is all really great stuff. But what we need on top of that is action. There has to be action from everybody, from the club level right up to the provincial, my role, the president level and executive level, and the Judo Canada level. If we all do something with this, if we all take some action, I think we're going to come out of this maybe even better than how we went in. But that's what it takes. Everybody has to do it. So again, thank you everybody for coming. It shows that we want to, having all these people here, it shows that everybody, does have the buy-in, and, let's take action and come out of this stronger than how we went in.
All right. Well, thank you guys. And thank you, Peter. Peter will be in contact next week, and we'll talk again, follow up. And just to let everybody know, we will send out an information package the middle of next week, just to get with the slides and a few different comments, and maybe some of the information regarding his Facebook and a few other things as well. So thank you for joining us on this Saturday afternoon. And thank you very much, Peter. It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to hear your thoughts. And thank you for, again, the true spirit of judo, and that's giving back and helping everybody to be better at what we love.
Enjoy your Saturday, guys. See you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Peter. Thanks, Johan.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good work.
you.
Thanks again, Ewan.
Thank you. See you, Rob.
You bet. Well, see you in an hour or so.
Yeah, see you in an hour. So we got training.
You betcha.